right, you are back with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So, Le Boyle has a theory I would like to at least pursue. I highly doubt I have the follow through to really take it to the edge. I may not even have the follow through to start, but I like the idea and I'm excited about it at the moment. Let me tell you what the idea is. So I've been listening to Noam Chomsky for fucking months now, and I've basically been listening to his politics. I'm 110 on board with his politics, but I would say like the last month or two, I've been starting to listen to his philosophy and linguistics. Like, he's the godfather of linguistics. And that sounds shit, but it's like linguistics sounds like what? He knows where to put a comma. Wow. But it's a little bit more than that. Linguistics is actually a very deep subject. So he revolutionized linguistics, and he's like the most cited scholar of the 20th century or something like that. So he knows his shit. Anyway, I've been listening to a lot of his like philosophy and linguistic stuff now, and he says that language is thought. He said it's indistinguishable from thought. There's no way you can separate the two. So language is thought. And that sort of like struck a chord with me. And then he said we use language as communication. That's just one of the things we use language for, but it's not the main thing. Most of the language is internal, but we use it as like a tool externally to communicate with each other. But that's not its main purpose. And that struck a chord with me as well. So in that theory, thought comes first and then the speaking comes second. And I was like, very interesting, because I've been thinking about language a lot because I've always wanted to learn Spanish, and I'm obviously going to Spain in 10 days, and I've never been able to pick it up. Never, I just can't fucking do it. I can't sit there, write the word, memorize it, I just can't pick up any language like that. So I was like, well, if the thought is the first thing, if language is thought and the speaking is just a tool of the thought, then to grasp a language, you need to be thinking in the language prior to speaking it, which sounds backwards. And so that stuck in my head. And then he also has this theory, it's proven, abstract universal grammar. So the way we absorb or learn languages isn't in a linear way. That's not how language is produced. It's not linear. It has these innate abstract structures that selects for fast computing over, sense or something. I don't really understand any of that well. I've just been listening to the lectures, but I've taken a little bit of that abstract fucking universal grammar and a little bit of language is thought. And I've started thinking if you want to learn a language, you need to be thinking in that language. You need to be thinking in the language before you speak the language. Because with the abstract universal grammar, it means there's no point trying to learn a language linear. Like this word follows this word follows this word. That's not how language is grasped. I suppose the way kids do it is they get a word and then they hang other words on top of it. And so I was thinking about that. I'm like, all right, you've got to think in the language before you speak it. And I'm like, how is that even possible? How can you start thinking in the language before you speak it? And then I was like, all right, the best way to do that would be kind of mimicking the way a baby learns language. Like just really basic, simple shit like blue, mama. And then I was like, well, if you had some videos, some really basic videos of a parent speaking to their baby, like saying, say papa, my name is papa, or holding up something blue and saying, blue, this is blue, this is blue. You don't really even need to fucking know any of the words. If you're watching a mum with a little kid pointing at a block that's blue saying, this is blue, this is blue, you don't even really need to know Spanish to figure out what the fuck she's saying. Like, just watching it, if you watched it enough times, you could work out that the block is blue, like if she was saying azul, or if the block is red, like rosa. This block is rosa. As long as you have the red, then you can hang the other words around it. If you repetitively watch that video, eventually you'll figure out what the fuck she's saying to her kid. And then you can build on that, like little building blocks. And then I was thinking, like, you could have someone knock at the door and the mum yells out, who is it? And then the guy at the door says something. I'm like, these videos would be really good because you could just do like 20, 30 second sections and then just extend them a little bit further. And I was like, all right, that's fine, but that's still not enough to like start thinking in that language. You need something else unless you fully immerse yourself in that. And then I was like, well, you would just repetitively watch these videos over and over and over and slowly extend them out a little bit. You wouldn't have to put pen to paper at all. You're just doing it all by ear and by visual means. But again, like I just said, it doesn't change your internal world very fast. It doesn't get you thinking in Spanish. So I was like, well, I can just visualize myself speaking to someone in Spanish, having a conversation. And like my daydreaming, I can start transferring my daydreaming into Spanish bit by bit. And I was thinking that is going to be a little bit difficult because you just don't have the words. You don't have the words because you don't know the words. So it's very hard to change your thinking without the words. So then I was like, well, how do I create a world in my head where I only speak Spanish? And then I was like, well, when I have attempted to write movie scripts, you have to create the world in your head and you have to create the characters and you have to talk through the characters and the characters are speaking to each other. And then I was like, well, that's a world. I can create a Spanish world in my head if I write a movie script in Spanish and I can get the characters to say whatever the fuck I want them to say or need them to say. And the thing is, when you're writing, you go over it and over it. And so my idea is and don't get me wrong here, I'm as doubtful as everyone that I even have the follow through to even begin this. But I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it like I was excited about Bitcoin. So I might be able to start it. But if I start writing a movie script and have the characters playing dialogue, I can immerse myself in that world and I can be Spanish in that world and the characters can speak Spanish. All the description, everything can be in Spanish. And then I will have a little world of Spanish in my head where I'm thinking in Spanish. Now, I don't even know if this will work, but I feel like for me, it might be the only way I'm going to fucking learn a language that isn't going to fucking absolutely fucking destroy me. Does that sound retarded to everyone? I know it must sound semi-retarded, but I think I'm going to start doing it. I've got 12 days to create a little fucking Spanish world and test it in Spain when I'm there. And the thing is, with AI and shit now, it's real fucking easy to get the Spanish fucking pronunciations and the words and everything. You can do full sentences and put it in. But the idea is to get myself thinking in Spanish before I start speaking in Spanish. Because I don't think the speaking is the hard part if you can think it. What the problem, I think, with language adoption, especially as adults, is you try and go from the word, like writing the word, to implanting it in your brain, which is just a memory exercise. So when you're talking to someone, especially early on, you have to get a picture of the word in your mind. And I did this with my wife's languages as well. You've got to get a picture of the word in your mind first, and then you need to find it in your mind, make sure it's the correct one, transfer it back, and then try and say it. It's a big process and it's too fucking slow. But if you can think already, and I think a little bit of language is anticipation as well. So you always sort of half know what the person's about to say. Anyway, that's my wild theory. I think it will work because I can just get the characters to do anything. And then I'm saying it to myself over and over. ¿Cómo estás? Muy bien, said the postman. Anyway, it's just one of those things. This is like a fucking cokehead in a fucking bathroom toilet talking about starting a fucking food truck. It's just one of those things that probably will never get done. Anyway, fucking that'll do it for tonight. And I'll see you the fuck later.